Supersymmetry News, Dissemination Intro. So what we need to clarify first and foremost is the art of understanding, what it entails and how we reach consensus as a community to gaining such understanding and capitalizing upon the traditions that inevitably develop. You will undoubtedly familiarize yourself with the terms I utilize that will increase your cognitive efficiency and fundamental lateral self-sufficiency. Despite the myopic upheaval in backdrop mania, take notes, do the calculus, and think. It's gonna happen anyway, so you might as well assimilate the program, because it works with the input of the service user. That is how that works. What we are tackling is a gullibility and debilitation, with backdrops of radicalized liberalism in its various guises. Whether psychological due to a neurotoxicity, superconductive elemental secretions as a psyche predominance, psychic vampirism, surgery, or caustic engramic abrasion, short-term, long-term memory loss, and/or isometric kneading via electrical effects and electrolytic electrochemicals. It is the adherence to do of these worrying trends, promoted as a folia dux delusion of two or more, promoting a lapse of brain net aggregation and generic biometry, radiometry, telematic, visual, harmonic, infra, and ultrasound, EMF field and cybernetic grids. Inducing a hysteria and mass formation psychosis through predominantly mnemonic cues in its transmission and emission, a sense data streaming, personality cultism, by-proxy isometric simulacrum, imitative tracing, actuation, and tautography. It is this that we need to be primarily concerned about, that the unbeknownst and ignoramus to promoting and even maintaining a sense datum of brain datum to metafictive regression, whilst automatically and automotively conscripted to sensitized requiems of religiosity, i.e. belief and denial syndromes, in subscription and prescription, such that preys upon the metaphorical metaphysics via geomancy and biomancy. A necrotic threat outlined of the imbue in action states of beta decay and linear debasing baselines, psychologically. However, of the science involved of it, it is this that we are efforting to disseminate and deciphering, and ironically using as a supportive establishment despite the unruly autocratic and authoritarian supremacy. Remember, all informative knowledge is important. There is not conspiracy really. That has been a dianoetic, intellectable predominance of baseline starting point regression, sponsoring a autosynesthesia, so confusion and neuronic loss via overlapped configurations of neurogenic efflux. In other words, lobotomy. Such is connected to a osmosis efficacy and hydrocellular transmission. So, now we're getting technical. There are terms such as what I've used thus far, and it is important that you understand the base concepts of such technical terms. Remember, the term of the Tetris effect. Such proves that you get back what effort you put into the activity. Try and be encouraged by this, not put off. I strongly advise you forego any myopic inept self-promotion, as this is simply a maintenance of the debilitating folly, as if a affiliation to those who do that deliberately and those who divergent to the satrap of cult. We're breaking you out of that linear baseline to lateral cognitive freedoms, and this is a procession that will take time, effort, and understanding. And so first and foremost, proceeding our mutual collaborations of gaining understandable consensus with the format of discovery, exploration, and pioneering. It is this that is the science behind the extra stimulus and psychology happening to do of such extracurricular stimulations of cognitive lateral liberations. Whatever its exotic allure of negative attenuated impact, it is informative nonetheless, and such can be rectified and approached with rationale and its course of educational progressive excellence, inherent of positive powers that the academic conventional scientism of the day has been systematically avoiding, as if faction warfare and academic preludes of layman versus qualified professionism, a social caste of class warfare. It is this that we are honing with astute, candid, and respectful promise and ethical morality and mutual civility, transparently tapping into the very contents that such religious and spiritual warfare has been capitalizing upon with fear of ridicule, ostracizing, exclusion, and exiling. For we are sensitive beings, and our enemies know this. Thus, an emphasis of intellectual monopoly and susceptibility to being directed rather than creatively original. Sense data then, whether of kinesthetic psychic ability and other, conducted of radio trafficking, mnemonic cue, and or apparitional stimuli, of isometric cryptozoology, isomorphic, photometric, multi-location, bilocation, multi-layered acquisitions, complex apparatuses by way of sentient world environments, seas projects, fictive or actual. Everything is evidence and everything is useful that does divulge of the actual premise of overlapped configs, as if by way of special interests, whether of biometric and geometric siphoning parsed datum to server mechanics, or networking as sense data via constant administration of psychiatric induced cognitive reprimands, induced cognitive disorders, to the status quo de facto entity. Primary to the causal impact is then the electronics mass distribution and the mobile transmission in emission of needed materials with secret objects inside, intel inside of life. It is this that we are discovering together, of such needing upon and through such apparatuses manipulated as multivectors of templation and behavioral association as per the evident trauma, as though, however, played upon the psyche. So if you've experienced sleep paralysis, there's a clue. Beyond a predominance of precog and retrocog of metric templates of ingredient and formula of psychic abilities, as if once again monopolized as castes of formulated designs, i.e. body plans of bioengineered isomorphic isotopical topology. This notation is statistical, open dialogue disclosure. Use it as foundation. Forgiveness begins with the self. That is where that begins, and endings are beginnings too. Thanks for listening.